See here, standing in front of us, and the TISO MVP of the tournament is none other than Miss Caitlyn Clark. It's undeniable the impact she's made on women's basketball, and here in Puerto Rico had quite the showing. Her debut with the
From the start, something went down in Puerto Rico that people aren't going to forget anytime soon. You could actually feel the shift happening in real time. The basketball world didn't slowly change, it kind of flipped all at once. Right under the veterans' feet, a quiet leader stepped back onto the court, and suddenly the whole pecking order looked different. Yeah, the wins and stats are real, but honestly, the story behind all of it is even more intense than what showed up on the scoreboard. After everything we just saw on that international stage, where the events clearly ran smoother through a next-level playmaker, you have to ask, is it finally time for the old guard to step aside and let the future fully take over? Because at this point, it's getting harder to ignore. If you were watching what happened in San Juan, you probably noticed some coaches looking like they needed a headache pill or two. This wasn't a minor adjustment, this felt like a complete shift in the atmosphere around Team USA basketball. And let's be real, not everyone is celebrating that.
I'm completely different off the court than I am on the court. Like when I step in between the lines, like I'm there to kind of kill.
Two, for the wild part is, nobody really thought it would play out like this. Caitlyn Clark showed up carrying a ton of question marks. She had just come off a stretch where her body kept betraying her: groin issues, bone bruises, ankle problems, pretty much everything you don't want stacking up at once. That 2025 season was rough, no way around it. She hadn't played into 139 days, which for someone at that level might as well be forever. Timing goes, rhythm disappears, and people start doubting fast. Critics were ready to jump on any hesitation, any sign she might hold back. Even fans who believed in her had to be a little nervous. But what a lot of people missed is what those 8 months actually did. While everyone else was playing games, she was rebuilding everything behind the scenes. So when she got to Puerto Rico, she wasn't easing into anything. She came in ready to remind everybody, teammates, coaches, doubters, exactly what kind of impact she has when she's fully locked in.
Caitlyn Clark is officially the MVP of the FIBA Women's World Cup qualifier tournament that was just held in Puerto Rico. Team USA went undefeated, and it's kind of crazy because Caitlyn Clark actually only started one game in this entire tournament, but clearly she had the greatest impact. The coach at times was also playing her in like the 3-4 position, which is so wild. She's a true point guard, and literally everyone does better when she is running the point. And she led the team in assists per game with 6.4 per game. And she also led the team in efficiency at a 14.6, which is something that FIBA uses, the WNBA and NBA don't. But essentially, it's a math equation that figures out your efficiency on the court, and she led Team USA. She also led the team in overall points at 58 points, but Kalia Copper actually led in points per game at like 12.5 points per game. And Caitlyn played around 20-ish minutes in each of these games. And remember, guys, this is Caitlyn Clark's senior debut for Team USA because she was not invited to the 2024 Olympics. And actually, in her first ever game for Team USA, she had a double-double with 12 points and 12 assists. But beyond just the numbers, Caitlyn Clark changes the entire game the minute that she steps on the court. You can see how other teams change their defense just to make sure that they are guarding her. Like so many teams were switching to a box and one whenever she stepped on the court. Just the gravity that she has when she's on the court, the quickness of the game, the speed gets so much faster when Caitlyn Clark is in the game. And honestly, it's a super exciting brand of basketball. I loved watching her play in these Team USA games, even if it wasn't that many minutes. I also loved seeing her and Paige and Angel cook together. But that's it for this Team USA World Qualifier thing that they were doing. They did qualify for the World Cup, and we'll just have to tune in September. Congrats, Caitlyn, on the MVP.
When you look over at the sideline, that's where things get a little ironic. Kara Lawson had just taken over in September 2025, and this tournament was her first real moment in charge. She came in with that classic mindset: nothing is handed to you, everything has to be earned. And usually, when coaches lean into that, it means even the biggest star might have to sit for a bit just to prove a point. That's pretty much what happened in the opening game against Senegal. Lawson went with a veteran-heavy starting group: Chelsea Gray, Kalia Copper, Jackie Young. The message was obvious without needing to be said out loud.
debut with the senior team, the double-double with both points and assists. And in her senior debut, she wins the TISO.
But then the game itself started to tell a different story. Midway through the first quarter, Lawson rotated in the second unit. Caitlyn steps on the floor, touches the ball for the first time in a senior national team setting, and immediately fires off a no-look pass for a layup. Next trip, another assist. Then she knocks down a jumper. Just like that. All that talk about rust didn't really hold up. It looked more like she hadn't missed a beat. By the end of that 110-46 blowout, she had 17 points and 12 assists in only 19 minutes. That assist total? One of the highest the tournament has ever seen. After the game, Lawson even admitted that the second unit, with Caitlyn running things, changed the entire energy of the team. And you can imagine, not everyone on the veteran side loved hearing that. From there, it didn't really slow down. Game after game, she stayed efficient, controlled, and dangerous with the ball. By the time they faced New Zealand in Game 4, Lawson finally made the adjustment people had been expecting. She put Caitlyn in the starting lineup. The result was another lopsided win, 101-46. With Caitlyn putting up 14 points and 6 assists without looking stressed at all. She was leading the team in assists by a wide margin, outplaying seasoned Olympic veterans who've been running offenses for years. The difference was obvious. The offense just moved better with her in charge, of course. It wouldn't be a full story without a little off-court noise. Those photos of Caitlyn looking tense near Stephanie White sparked a ton of speculation online. People started reading into body language, acting like something major was wrong. But honestly, when you're coming back after that long away and stepping into a locker room full of big personalities, some adjustment is expected. Caitlyn even talked about it herself. She pointed out how different it is compared to her role in Indiana, where everything revolves around her. On Team USA, it's a room full of stars, all used to being the center. The way she adjusted, playing faster, trusting teammates, fitting into the system, showed a level of awareness that kind of shuts down the diva narrative. By the time they reached Spain, the toughest matchup of the run, things tightened up. Lawson had to step away for college duties, so Nate Tibbetts handled coaching. The rotation shortened, the pressure picked up, and Caitlyn still delivered 7 points, 7 assists, helping secure an 84-70 win and a perfect 5-0 finish. When the MVP was announced, there wasn't much debate. At 24 years old, she was the standout player of the tournament, led in assists, shot efficiently from deep, and consistently made the game easier for everyone around her. And this is where things really start to shift. Bigger picture. The longtime core of the team is getting older, and what used to be a question whether she'd be part of the future has kind of turned into something else entirely. Now it's more like, is she the one everything is going to be built around? With the World Cup coming up in Berlin and Team USA chasing another title, the identity of the team looks like it's changing in real time. The rest of the world has seen what happens when she's surrounded by talent and given control of the offense. If this is what it looked like after months of rehab, it raises a pretty scary question for opponents about what comes next. What stands out most is that none of this was guaranteed. Injuries piled up, people doubted, and there were real questions about how she'd return. Then in 5 games, she answered all of it. She looked comfortable, confident, and completely in rhythm. USA basketball has always leaned on depth and structure, but during that stretch, it felt different. When the pressure moments came, the ball kept finding her hands. That says a lot. If you go back and watch closely, you can see how the style of play is evolving. It's not just about running sets anymore, it's about spacing, pace, and the kind of gravity a player creates. Even when she's not shooting, she's drawing attention and opening everything up. That's not easy to replace, no matter how experienced the roster is. And yeah, transitions like this aren't always smooth. When someone new steps in and immediately makes that kind of impact, it can be tough for players who've been leading the program for years. Looking ahead to Berlin, the roster will still be stacked, no doubt. But it's hard to ignore that the hierarchy has taken a hit. Once you've seen how effective the offense can be with her running it, it's tough to go back to something slower and more rigid. People can debate leadership and experience all they want, but fans saw what happened in Puerto Rico. The direction feels pretty clear. The time away didn't slow her down, it might have actually sharpened everything. She's healthier, more rested, and now she's got an MVP performance to back it up. For the coaching staff, the challenge now is balancing that mix of experience and new energy. But from a pure basketball standpoint, the path forward looks pretty straightforward. Lean into what works for the veterans. It comes down to adapting or getting left behind by the pace of the game. Based on what we just saw, that shift is already happening. The production is there, the impact is obvious, and the results speak for themselves. Team USA is still chasing another title, but the way they get there might look very different than it did before. As things build toward September, the spotlight is only going to get brighter. Every decision, every lineup, every moment will get picked apart. But once the game starts, all that noise fades. Caitlyn has already shown she can handle the pressure, the expectations, and everything that comes with it. At this point, it's not really speculation anymore, it's something we've seen play out on the court. The leadership label might not be official, but watching that run, you can tell who the team leaned on. The shift has already happened.